Everyone, welcome into another To The Point podcast. Everybody's doing well on this Tuesday, and I had to wait to jump on today because this afternoon I get off work and I'm thinking I can't podcast right now. There's a live sporting event that is a must watch, and that was the U.S. Open, which I've been talking about for the last week and change, but how great this major has been, how upsets galore. Teenagers are somehow, dominating the tournament, putting themselves on the map. Canada has jumped into the tennis scene. They have John McEnroe saying, I didn't know Canadians are supposed to be this good at tennis. I knew they were good at hockey. What the hell is going on here? But this afternoon, it was world number 3, Elina Svitolina, who has been ranked inside the top 10 for 245 straight weeks, the longest active streak in women's tennis, against now 19-year-old Leylah Fernandez, who just turned 19 yesterday, September 6th. And prior to this tournament, I did know about Leylah. Obviously, I mentioned before, it must be getting annoying at this point, but she lost her first round at Cincinnati. She lost her first round of the Rogers Cup. But at major tournaments, she hasn't had much success. She's just been there, for lack of a better term. She's been in the first round, second round, but it's quick exits. It's a cup of coffee. And we go into this U.S. Open where she has no expectations. And that's a perfect place to be. She's 18, now 19. You win a couple matches, you're going to get the biggest payday of your career. And that's just house money. You're playing, you got nothing to lose, everything to gain. And so far, that's exactly the script that's being written. We are 5 matches into the U.S. Open, and one of the 4 remaining women, the first woman to book her ticket to the semi-final, is Canada's Leylah Fernandez. This afternoon, she had a 2-hour and almost 20-minute match against Elina Svitolina, and she came out on top. And what a match it was. What theater it was this afternoon. And there's been some really good men's tennis matches at this major. This major's been fantastic. Women's been better. And I don't root for people. As you know, if you listen to me, I don't care who wins. I wasn't rooting for Leylah Fernandez this afternoon. If she lost, it doesn't hurt me. If the Patriots win, it doesn't matter to me. But what I can point out is that this summer, the summer of 2021, we're still in summer. It is September. The weather is getting colder. Nice day today. But we'll soon see, my shorts go away. And we'll see people start wearing heavier coats. But the summer of 2021 in Canada is about women's sports. Point blank and the period. And I don't think it's really debatable. Before I get to that point about the Lou Marsh, award winner, this summer, it's just been about women. You look at Canadian women. The Canadian women's soccer team won gold in Beijing. That was groundbreaking. It put Canada on the map in soccer the way our men's program has not even gotten close to. The men's program's in World Cup qualifying, and they tied the U.S. men, who aren't that great in soccer. And now it's, they're throwing a victory parade on Sportsnet. They tied the game. They tied Honduras. Yet we're throwing pom-poms around when our women are actually winning. No draws, not a tie. They're winning. That's what sports is. You win. And the U.S., that's okay, great. Yeah, they're probably not going to qualify for 2022 World Cups, and they'll try for 2024, which who knows? Maybe the program will get better, and they will. And then they'll get automatic bid in 2028 when Mexico, the U.S., and Canada host. So, way to go. You qualify for the World Cup by proxy. But the Canadian women soccer won a gold medal. That's definitive. It's not a draw. It's a win. The Canadian Women's World Championship, they won the gold medal. They beat the United States in overtime. Marie Poulin got the overtime winner. They are victorious. They won the title. Definitive, no argument. Again, those two teams were full of women. So now we go to this. An 18-year-old who is starting to look like a magic carpet ride that she's on, is into the semifinal of a major. Now, winning at this U.S. Open would put Leylah Fernandez in the conversation with Serena Williams, with Chrissy Evert, with Martina Navratilova. Not about all-time greatness, but winning a tournament at this young of an age. Maria Sharapova won a major at 17. Winning a major before you're 20 years old is so impressive. And she's 2 victories away from doing that. There's still a lot of tennis left to be played. She's going to have a tough opponent. But what I still like from her is that she plays with an aggression. She jumps on second serves. She hits the ball so deep into the court, it makes it very difficult on her opponent to give anything back that she can't hammer home a winner. And she plays with aggression. She's not a counterpuncher. She is very much, I'm going to bring it to you. And I like that in an athlete, especially a tennis player. Be the aggressor. Drive the point. Drive the match. And she's been driving the match against Angelique Kerber, Naomi Osaka, Elina Svitolina. Osaka, number 2 in the world. Svitolina, 3 in the world. Angelique Kerber, a 4-time major champion, was once ranked number 1 in the world. She's been driving, and she's ran these matches against these type of players. And today, she wins the first set. Second set, she gets down. But what I did like about the second set, she was down 5-1, but she got a break back. At 5-1, Svitolina served for the set. Leylah broke her, and that meant something to me. It showed, okay, maybe this will carry on some momentum into the third set, which I believe it did. But it just creeps that doubt in the back of your mind, just saying, I'm not going anywhere. Okay, you might got the better of me in this set, but in the next one, I'm game. I'm not losing confidence just because I'm 19, I'm inexperienced. I don't care. I'm bringing it to you. And Svitolina ended up winning the set 6-3, but I did think that had an impact. Now, we did see Leylah's inexperience because she led 5-2 in the third set. And I'm watching, I'm like, okay, well, this is going to be over. But she gets broken. Svitolina holds. Broken again, and we're at 5-all. I'm like, uh-oh. I'm like, okay, this is curtain call on her tournament. But at 5-all, she comes up with a big clutch service game. It gets to deuce, but she holds her serve. It shows again her lack of fear. To me, it's like Giannis Antetokounmpo. He is terrible at free throws, but he knows he's not a very good free throw shooter, but he will still go to the line and get fouled and try to shoot them. And in game 6 of the NBA Finals, he went 17 for 19 from the free throw line. So he would airball some in the other games, but it's that lack of fear as an athlete saying, okay, I might not be the best at this. I might have just got broken twice in 2 straight service games, but I'm not backing down. I'm going to go up there. I'm going to play the same way I did throughout this match, throughout this tournament to get me to this point. And I see the comparison saying, I'm going to serve the way I want to serve. It might get tight, but like Giannis, in that big moment, I will come up with the goods. And Leylah did. She held her serve. Svitolina held, and we go to a tiebreak. And again, she has a big lead, 4-1. And I'm like, okay, well, Svitolina's getting frustrated. 4-2 in the changeover. All of a sudden, it's 4-4. But Leylah's serve comes back, helps her again. She gets the next 2 points. She goes up 6-5, and she comes up with 6-5 in the tiebreak. big serve. Svitolina hits it long. She's into the semifinal. And it's an unbelievable story that we're seeing, just 2 years removed from Bianca Andreescu, where it was really unheard of any Canadian tennis player, male or female, to get to a final and realistically expect to win. Let's be honest. When Milos Raonic played Andy Murray and played Roger Federer in Grand Slam finals, he didn't win a set, and I didn't think he'd win a set. I didn't think he had a chance to win. Now, people say, okay, you're a hater and you're rooting, you're not even giving our Canadian a chance. I was right. And that's just being realistic. Whether that's a hater, that's called being right. I'd rather be right than wrong. That's how I look at life. Then Eugenie Bouchard, when she played Petra Kvitova at Wimbledon, I didn't think she had a chance. Kvitova was better than her. It's her best surface. And Eugenie got smoked. I think the match was over in like an hour and 10 minutes. She mopped the floor with her. Bianca changed that narrative, and you got to give credit to her, because for Dennis, for Felix, who I'll talk about later, who will play tonight, for Leylah, she opened up a door and really said, we can do this, Canada. Other Canadian tennis players, we can win these tournaments. Just because we're Canadian and we're known for playing hockey or curling or, our basketball starting to get against female and women's soccer, we can win against these other great players. It doesn't matter if we're playing Djokovic or if I'm going up against Serena Williams, who in my opinion is better than Novak Djokovic. We can beat the best in the world. We can be from Canada and win a major. We had never proven that. Nobody had proven that before. She opened up that gate, and we're starting to see these players just do better and better in majors. And, last night it was a war where Bianca Andreescu went up against Maria Sakkari of Greece in the second. We saw Djokovic and Jensen Brooksby play the first match on primetime, but then came Sakkari and Bianca. The match went very late, past 2 a.m. local time in New York, and ultimately Sakkari outlasted Bianca. We saw, 2 first sets go. The first set, Bianca wins in the tiebreak. Then Sakkari wins the second set in a very tight tiebreak, and in the third set, Bianca just ran out of gas. To me, she had a little bit of a calf problem. Again, she likes to flare up in injuries. She is injury prone, but to me, Sakkari just had more in the tank. Bianca hasn't played a lot of tennis this year, and I don't fault her for that loss last night. It was a marathon. She played 3.5 hours. To me, it was a good sign that she played 3.5 hours, that she could do it. And yes, she did lose, but she put up a valiant fight, and you got to respect that. And again, I'm all about winning, as you know, but sometimes it's about the process. And for her to get back to a round of 16 after going out in the second round of Australia, first round of French, first round of Wimbledon, just to get into the second week of a major is a big deal. And hopefully she can play at Miami later in the fall, and she can have a good tournament there and just show up at these events and play more regularly without injury problems or, whatever else is what's plaguing her. But last night was another sign of just, Bianca's still a very good player. It was her first loss at the U.S. Open ever. She had never lost. She was 10-0 at the U.S. Open. And so now 10-1, still pretty damn good record. But kudos to her. She fought hard. Sakkari outlasted her, and, good for her for beating her. But, it's just incredible to see all the Canadian tennis and see Leylah advance. She is now waiting. She will play Thursday. She'll likely, I believe the women's semis will be on Thursday, both matches. So Leylah will play her next match on Thursday. The men's semis will be Friday. But so Leylah will play the winner of Barbara Krejcikova of the Czech Republic and Aryna Sabalenka of Belarus. And they play first up on prime time. That'll be in about 45 minutes, 8 o'clock here, Atlantic time, where Krejcikova won the French Open. She's riding a wave. She's been very successful at majors. Sabalenka, I think, she should win a major. She's that good. She's, number 2 ranked player at this tournament. I picked her to win the French. She bowed out in the 3rd round. She made it to the 4th round of Wimbledon. But her 4th round match, she dominated Elise Mertens, who's a good player. She's won a doubles championship with. And I think it's a toss-up. Again, both women are very good. I wouldn't be surprised to see that match go 3 sets, because you'll know how the match is going to go right away. Because if Sabalenka, she needs to win that first set. That's key for her, because she starts to unravel. She'll start to get unforced errors. And then her mental state is not the best when she gets down points and she gets frustrated, starts yelling at her box. So she is very entertaining to watch, because she's got a lot of power, but when it starts to go awry for her, it really takes over, and then she becomes a mess on court. So if Krejcikova can frustrate her early, I think we could see Krejcikova advance to play Leylah. But we'll know tonight. The first match on Arthur Ashe Stadium on the prime time tonight, we'll see who Leylah Fernandez will play in her first career semifinal on Thursday, September 9th. Tomorrow, the women's semis are Emma Raikkonen of Great Britain. She's also 18 years old, advancing, one of 3 18-year-old kids into the quarterfinals here. She'll play Belinda Bencic of Switzerland, who's always gotten close to winning a major but never has. And in the other matchup, it'll be Karolina Pushkava, who's played, I think she's had one of her best years on tour. She made the final of Wimbledon, ended up losing to Ash Barty in 3 sets, but she's only lost 2 matches this whole summer. She lost in the final at Cincinnati. So she's had a great season thus far, and she's played some really quality tennis. So she'll play Sakkari, Raikkonen, Bencic. So looking at the draw, if Krejcikova loses tonight, which, I like Sabalenka a lot, like I just said, but we'll see what happens, then we're guaranteed to see another woman win their first career major. Raikkonen's never been to a quarter, so of course she's never won a major. Bencic has been to a semifinal. She's never been to a major final yet. Pushkava has been to 2 major finals, 2016 U.S. Open, then the 2021 Wimbledon. Sakkari's been to semifinal at this year's French Open, but she's never won a major. So it could be, this is why women's tennis is so intriguing, because you can see women that you never thought would win one get to a final and win one. Krejcikova was not even on the map this year. Now she's ranked 8th at the U.S. Open. But that's what can happen. Leylah can put herself on the map in a big way just by winning this tournament. And, we'll see what happens. But congratulations to her. Fantastic match today. Also today, we saw Daniil Medvedev, the world number 2, advance to the semifinal. He was ousted in the round of 16 last year, made the semifinal in 2019, losing to Rafael Nadal. But he defeated Botan van de Schulp of the Netherlands. Great tournament for Van den Schulp. He was a qualifier, wasn't even supposed to make it into, he had to qualify just to make the tournament, never been in New York before. So credit to him for being a wild card and getting this far. But Medvedev is awaiting the winner of Carlos Alcaraz, the 18-year-old Spaniard who's won back-to-back 5-set matches, who's another incredible story, and Felix Auger-Aliassime of Canada. Felix beat Francis Tiafoe the other night on prime time to advance to this match. And to me, this is Felix's big opportunity. If he wins this match tonight, which I think he will, he's got to play Medvedev, and he'll go in a heavy underdog. But like Leylah Fernandez, she's been an underdog the last 3 matches. And guess what? She's won them all. You want to put yourself in a position to at least be there. Shapovalov lost in straight sets to Djokovic, but he put up a good fight, and it was good learning experience. And I think it made the world of tennis really see Dennis as a future, potential player to win a major. I believe Felix is better than Dennis. I think he's a more consistent player, and I like his chances of winning one potentially as soon as this week, more than Dennis. I think Felix has potential of winning more majors than Shapovalov, even though I think Shapovalov is probably the funnest player to watch on tour right now. And he's a very good player as well. But Felix has an 18-year-old who's played 2 5-set matches back-to-back. He's played a lot of tennis. You got to think this guy's going to be running on fumes. And for Felix, you've made the quarterfinals of Wimbledon. You've been in majors before. You know what to experience. Alcaraz is 18. He's riding a wave of momentum here. We've seen an 18-year-old already win one in Leylah. But for Aliassime, win tonight, and you put yourself in a position to play Medvedev, and then you see what happens. Yeah, you'll be a heavy underdog. But if you go into a match thinking you're going to lose, you'll lose. And I think for him, just getting to a semifinal, be his first career major semifinal, that's great experience. Who knows what happens? And then you take it from there. And I expect a good match tonight. I think Alcaraz is not going to go down without a fight. We've seen these players come out of nowhere, and they don't like to go down. Brooksby, the American last night played Djokovic, and Djokovic won in 4 sets, but it was not an easy match for Djokovic because Brooksby is an irritant. He's a guy that just he plays with he's just a weird guy, and he mixes up his serve. And we've seen a lot of long service games where Djokovic went, I believe, over 30 points, and it was just incredible to watch. But these younger players, they just play with a sense of freedom, and it's good to see. But I think Felix will advance to a semifinal. So I think we will see two Canadians in the semifinals come tomorrow. Obviously, Felix will play Friday, Leylah Saturday. On the other side of the draw, tomorrow's quarterfinals will be Sasha Zverev played Lloyd Harris. He beat Rafael Pelka yesterday. Zverev heavy favorite, but Lloyd Harris has had a great summer as well. These two men have been had two of the best summers on tour, quite frankly. Zverev won the gold medal in Beijing. He's not lost a match since. And then you got Harris, who he's made it to the final in Washington, made it to the quarterfinal at the Rogers Cup and at Cincinnati. He's starting to rise in the rankings, quarterfinal here to major. And then the other semifinal tomorrow, we'll see world number 1 Novak Djokovic play Matteo Berrettini. Now, this is the rematch of the Wimbledon final that Djokovic won in 4 sets. He's 3 wins away from the year slam, where he would have won the Australian Open, the French, Wimbledon, and the US in 1 year. An incredible feat. If he does it again, he's 3 wins away from doing it. He'll be favored in every match. The most interesting matchup will be playing Zverev, because Zverev beat him in the semifinals at the Olympics. Djokovic was looking to win every major and then the Olympic gold medal. Zverev put a halt to that and ended up winning the gold medal for Germany. So I'd love to see that matchup, because I think Djokovic wants some retaliation. I think he, obviously he would love to win everything. He's a very competitive guy. So that match would be fun as well, to see those two go at it and see what happens. But like I said, this major's been incredible. The upsets, the level of play is so high. Players just coming out of nowhere and doing things you don't expect of them, like qualifiers, like Leylah Fernandez. And good on the U.S. Open, because you get prime time every night. It keeps you interested. And I think it's growing. It's growing the sport, because after Leylah won this afternoon, a big personality, and one of the great NBA players of all time, Irvin Magic Johnson, tweeted out about Leylah Fernandez, saying how exciting she was. She's taking over the tennis world, and how he's rooting for her to win. I mean, that's an American cheering for a young Canadian girl. And to have that kind of platform, to have Irvin, to have Trey Young in the basketball world talk about, tennis is actually really starting to excite me. They got a new fan. So the U.S. Open does more to promote the sport than any other major. Wimbledon might be the most elegant, the best major by some. But when it comes to entertainment, when it comes to viewing, you're in the States. You're getting in Australia, you're 12 hours behind. You got to watch matches 8 o'clock in the morning till 6 a.m. It's hard to get people to watch that consistently. It's tough. French and England, again, times aren't the best for people to be watching. In the States, you're getting 2 matches every night. You're done from work, you're home for the night, you can put your feet up, you got 2 tennis matches there sitting, waiting for you to watch. So looking forward to the matches tonight. Obviously, like I said, you got Krejcikova, Sabalenka up first at 8, and then you got Felix Auger-Aliassime and Carlos Alcaraz, which will follow the second women's quarterfinal of the day. So great tennis so far, and it's been so fun to watch. Since Friday, since Saturday morning, since Friday night, when I talked about the Toronto Blue Jays, they've gone on a tear. They've won 5 in a row. They put up 40 runs in the last 4 games. And that includes yesterday thumping the New York Yankees 8-0. And Hyunjin Ryu went 6 innings, had a really solid start. I don't know why they pulled him after 6 because the game was not out of hand, but you saw Vladimir Guerrero Jr. get to 40 home runs. You saw Marcus Semien set a Blue Jays record for most home runs in a season by a second baseman when he hit his 36th and 37th yesterday, including a grand slam in the 8th inning. But they've been on a tear, and yesterday they get a good day where they play the Yankees, so they beat them straight up. And then the Red Sox had a crazy game of the Tampa Bay Rays where the Red Sox ended up losing in extra innings 11-10 after some heroics from deadline acquisition Nelson Cruz. But we sit now. The Jays have 3 more games against the Yankees this week. They got the better pitching. Their bats are on fire, so it bodes well for them. But they're trying to track down the Yankees and the Red Sox. The Jays are 3 games back. And to be, they're in a much better position than they were Friday. And it takes a few games to get back. But again, they play Baltimore this weekend. They still play Minnesota down the stretch, who aren't very good. They do play the Yankees again. They play the Rays, which is a tough opponent. So it's not an easy schedule down the stretch here. But I give them credit. It's a young team. I think people are already saying Marcus Semien is gone after this season, which I don't know why he would be if I'm management. I don't care what the money is. You bring him back. Okay, there's a luxury tax in baseball. Pay for it. If you want to be a team that wins, you got Bo Bichette, you got Vladdy Jr. They're not making big money. They're making their rookie deals. Go all in here. Bring back Robbie Ray. Bring back Marcus Semien. Acquire a new pitcher. Try to lure Max Scherzer in the offseason. Maybe he doesn't want to come to Canada, which I get, but at least make an offer to the guy. But I have to give credit where credit's due, and that is them fighting. And I'm going to give the credit to myself too. I'm motivating this team. That comeback Friday night I thought was very putrid, and it's still maybe if they. This is the thing. It's great right now, but if they finish 1 game out of the wild card race and they miss the playoffs, then it was putrid. And I was right, because it's like being a point. I remember as a kid, and this is when I used to root for teams. I was rooting for the Leafs. Thanks, Mom and Dad. But they were playing the Islanders, and they needed to win. They needed the Islanders to lose. But it went to a shootout, and the Islanders won in a shootout to advance to get the 8 seed. Toronto didn't get it. Now, at the time, I'm thinking, Toronto missed the playoffs 8 seed. They would have got dumped anyway. But it's things like this where you're 1 point away. Oh, what could have been? And maybe it could have been a magic carpet ride. I doubt it. And that's the thing. You need to get in. You need to get into the playoffs. And this is the biggest week of their season. You got 3 more against the Yankees. And just looking at the pitching matchups, because baseball, that's what it comes down to more often than not. Tonight, you got Steven Matz against Garrett Cole. That's going to be the toughest matchup of this series, because Garrett Cole is one of the 3 best pitchers in baseball. But, he's not having his greatest season. Steven Matz is not exactly, Cy Young. So tough matchup there, but your bats have been playing well. Steven Matz, just play decent, stay in the game. Then you got Alex Manoa, who's been pretty fantastic, against Luis Gil, who's only made 1 start. So I like the Jays' chances. Manoa is either fantastic or he blows up. So you got to hope he has a good start. Then you got 1 more at Yankee Stadium on Thursday. You got Jose Barrios against Jordan Montgomery. That's pretty much an even. But Barrios had a decent start his last one out against Oakland. So that was promising to see him at least pitch well, not get knocked around. Montgomery's been actually one of the more consistent pitchers for the Yankees this season. They haven't had a lot of great starting pitching depth. So you don't get Robbie Ray in this series, which does hurt you. It would be nice to have him pitch. But Manoa, you acquired Barrios to pitch in these type of situations. You're playing the Yankees. You need a win. He needs to deal. He needs to pitch well and win that game, quite frankly. That's just the way it is. And you need to continue to see Vladdy come up big. Marcus Semien hit well. Teoscar Hernandez. But, I mean, it's the usual characters. And starting pitching has to go deep. You do not want to rely on this bullpen. And yesterday, they're winning the game 4-0. After the sixth inning, Hyun-Jin Ryu pitched a great game. But he's only at, I believe, like 80 pitches, maybe less than that, 77 pitches. And he gets pulled out of the game with a 4-0 lead. Now, they go on to win the game 8-0. That's besides the point right now. In the seventh inning, they're only up 4-0. The fact that he didn't pitch the seventh inning is really incredible to me. I do not know how. You have an ace who you're paying like a number one starter, even though he isn't, but you're paying him like he is, and he's not able to pitch 7 innings. You have a bullpen that is about as reliable as, how can I define that? What's an analogy I can use today? It's reliable as like the girlfriend that you have that's only around on like Sunday nights. You know, I'm busy. I want to hang out tonight. No, I got plans. You know, she's doing other things and they're not with you. She put 2 together. She's doing them with somebody else. So you go to a bullpen that's been a disaster and say, give me 3 innings. That's a day where you can get 2 innings. You can go, okay, who do we want? Who do we trust in this scenario? Do we go to Joakim Soria? Maybe. You don't have a lot of trust there. You know you're going to Romano in the 9th, which I totally agree with. He's your closer. Maybe he's not your closer of the future, but he's your guy now. So go to him then. But I just find it baffling to me that you go to a bullpen in that situation that you don't need to go to. It just makes no sense. Maybe you go to Trevor Richards like they did yesterday and you go to that, but it just made no sense to me that you go to a bullpen that's been a failure all season. Go Ryu 7, then go Adam Simber, then go Romano. Get the game over on to Tuesday. Now, if you gotta hope their pitching holds up, batters hold up. They did announce today that George Springer is out of tonight's game. He fouled a ball off his knee in the 8th inning yesterday, left the game. So Corey Dickerson is going to play center field. Alejandro Kirk, the catcher, is going to play DH tonight. So Springer doesn't look healthy. Doesn't look like he should be playing. So really, this isn't that big of a loss to me because he's not 100%. I'd rather play Alejandro Kirk. I'd rather give Randall Grichuk, who Mr. Double Play, more at bats than Springer right now because he just isn't healthy. Playing an ineffective player is not a smart strategy at this point of the season. You need to put your best team on the field. And yes, he's in a designated hitter position, but at the same time, he's not giving you anything. So go to a guy that can at least bat, that's comfortable in the box. And to me, he doesn't look comfortable right now. So big series. You got an opportunity. You're playing the Yankees, who you're chasing. The Red Sox have the Rays. That's a very tough series. The Rays, just because they have a huge lead in the AL East, they're not giving up. Kevin Cash is a manager that says, we're going to go out there and try to win every game. If we can screw the Red Sox while we do it, great. And, they do it yesterday coming from behind 3 different times in the game and ultimately winning it, including Austin Meadows hitting inside the park home run in the top of the 9th. So we'll see what happens there. The National League West continues to remain interesting. The San Francisco Giants hold a 1-game lead over the Los Angeles Dodgers. Both teams getting win yesterday. San Fran beating Colorado 10-5. The Dodgers beating St. Louis 5-1. This is going to be a battle till the end. San Francisco got a huge win on Sunday, beating up Walker Buehler, giving him 6 earned runs. But I think we'll see this to the end of the season where these teams are going to be battling. Tonight, again, Dodgers at Cardinals. Corey Knebel has been a really good ad for them. He's kind of a bullpen arm that they switched. It's bullpen start. Pitch against Jay Happ of St. Louis. And then you got San Francisco tonight, Logan Webb, who's been fantastic, will go against Chichi Gonzalez. So on paper, it's a tougher series for the Dodgers because the Cardinals they're trying to make the playoffs. They're still in the wild card hunt in the National League. The National League wild card is becoming more and more interesting because the Padres are back in front. They hold a 1-game lead over Cincinnati. Cincinnati got lost yesterday to the Chicago Cubs, who, after trading off all their players at the deadline, they're now in a heater. They've won 8 in a row, and it's just crazy to me. They beat Cincinnati in a huge game. Philly trails San Diego by 2 games. They got the easiest schedule remaining in baseball. They play a lot against the Marlins. I believe they play against the Rockies down the stretch. So they got some easy series. Just looking up their next couple series being 2 games back. Yeah, they got the Rockies this weekend. Favorable series on paper. And you should get some wins there. Then they have, I'm sure they play the Nationals down the stretch as well, which will only help their case. Then they got the Cubs. And the Cubs are on a heater, but on paper they stink. And then they go and play the Mets against a tougher series, but again, that's not out of the realm of possibility that you get a win. But you look at it, the Phillies have a good chance at coming back here. St. Louis trails by San Diego by 3.5. So huge series for them against the Dodgers. If they lose all 4 this week, they're done. They'll be out of it. And the Mets trail them by 4.5. So it looked for a while that it was just a 2-horse race, but teams have started to climb back in it. You got Philly and New York are also trailing Atlanta in the National League East. So every series matters and every game matters. There's less than 30 games remaining for every team. And it's a battle down the stretch here to see who can get in, who won't. Can Joey Vado propel the Cincinnati Reds to the playoffs? I think if he gets them to the playoffs, he wins National League MVP. He may win it anyway, but if he gets a Cincinnati team to the playoffs where they've been a poor franchise for a long time. They lost Trevor Bauer in the offseason. They didn't really add anything of substance, and he has a great season and, career on base percentage and everything like that. I think we'll see, another Canadian succeed here, Joey Votto, win the National League MVP. But, interesting down the stretch. We'll keep updating this as we go. But, the 3 most interesting things right now for me. You got American League wildcard, the National League West, and the National League wildcard, because you never know what's going to happen. And every game has importance. Like I said, every pitching matchup's important. And if we can keep these matchups, very interesting down the stretch, in the last couple weeks of the season, it's even more compelling. If you see the Blue Jays play well, if you see Seattle continue to play, they got crushed last night by Houston, but if they play consistent baseball, then they're in the mix, they're in the fight. Then it's, even more interesting down the stretch and see what happens there. So we'll see what happens down the stretch here, but interesting things for sure. NFL is just 2 days away. Can you believe it? Two sleeps, and then we'll see the Dallas Cowboys play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I've talked about, I did a season preview show on the podcast with Matt Wright. I've talked football with a number of different people, but I really thought about the opening night matchup today, and it's Cowboys versus Buccaneers. And on paper, it's easy. Why is this the first matchup? The Dallas Cowboys are the biggest draw in all of sports, you could say. They're the most valuable franchise in all of the world. Yet, why are the Cowboys playing? It's opening night. People are going to watch football on opening night regardless, because there hasn't been NFL football, regular season football, since February. That's a long time. There's interest. People want to watch. But then I look and I say, okay, beyond, I think people are going to watch this. So why couldn't you put Bills, Bucks? The Bills are playing the Buccaneers in December. Why couldn't you put Rams versus Buccaneers. Rams are visiting the Buccaneers on September 26th. You got Jared Goff and a new location playing, arguably most people see that the Rams is the biggest roadblock from Tom Brady capturing his 8th Super Bowl in the NFC. Wouldn't that be a great way to start the year? But the Cowboys. And I read this morning, and it's super interesting. In the last 10 years, there have been 3 teams that have played opening night after missing the playoffs. The Dallas Cowboys have 2 of those games. They missed the playoffs last year. They finished 6-10. They missed the playoffs in 2019, 8-8. And yet they're playing on opening night. Normally, the matchup is maybe a repeat of the Super Bowl, or at least you see a team that had a great season. Like maybe you see, I could see Cleveland playing because they had a great season. But no, the Dallas Cowboys, who have been America's team and they get all this pub for all the wrong reasons. They haven't won. They haven't been to an NFC championship game since 1995. I wasn't born in 1995. Since Barry Switzer won the Super Bowl after they fired Jimmy Johnson, they have won 3 playoff games. 3. Yet, this team is on primetime, a solo stage game. And you put them on opening night. And it's just idiotic to me. I get it. It's the Cowboys and it's Jerry Jones, but why? And I honestly think this is stupid from the NFL because people are going to watch the Cowboys on a Sunday. Sunday afternoon at 5:25 kickoff, people will watch the Cowboys. The top 5 ranked games last year, when it comes to viewership, the Cowboys had 4 of them. So why waste a game that's going to be highly watched anyway on opening night? People are going to watch football. There has been no football. The ratings for college football this weekend were through the roof. The CFL ratings are up 15% from 2019. When there's no football, people crave it. It's the most popular sport in North America. As a frequent viewer and a guy who just bought Game Field Pass for the first time in his life, I know I'm crazy because I bought it so I can rewatch games during the week. Yes, I'm going to watch a game on my TV on Sundays, then throw a game on my laptop, so watch 2 at once, and then during the week to see how I like teams' offense, defense, different plays for the podcast and just for my own enjoyment. I'm going to rewatch games. Now I have a grander scheme thing. I think I know the game pretty well, but I want to learn it better. I want to watch certain things, but again, it's not for free. And yeah. So I just look at it. It's just such a waste to me. People are going to watch this anyway. And, it was so funny because Dak Prescott talked about, love playing in prime time. And he said, it's a great start of the season. You got Tampa Bay coming in fresh off winning a Super Bowl. And then you got us, fans in the stands. Yeah, that's all they can say because last year was a disaster for them. They had nothing last year. They've had nothing forever. The only thing the Dallas Cowboys can honestly say is that they are America's team. When I think that's ridiculous because I think the New England Patriots are America's team, or Green Bay for that matter. Green Bay started the NFL. It's called the Lombardi Trophy. It's not called the Jerry Jones Trophy or even the Jimmy Johnson. And also, wouldn't you want the first game of your season to be competitive? And maybe I'll be wrong, and maybe the Cowboys will make this a really entertaining game. But I think they're going to get destroyed. On paper, this is going to be a flat-out disaster. And yes, Tom Brady has had slow starts to his career. Usually early on in the season, he's a slow starter. but he's coming back with the exact same offense. In New England, even after winning a Super Bowl, he's having new parts move in. You got to learn; those guys need to learn offense. He needs to get a cohesion and a chemistry with them. He's played a full season with Mike Evans. He's played a full season with Chris Godwin. He's played 10 years with Gronk. He's played 2.5 with Antonio Brown. He's got Fournette back. He's got Rojo. He's got everybody back. Cameron Brate, Scotty Miller, the entire defense, which should have won as a collective unit, Super Bowl MVP, not Tom Brady, is back. Shaq Barrett, Devin White, Levante David, and Ndamukong Suh, Vita Vea. They're all back. And, you know, if you hate the Dallas Cowboys, then I encourage you to tune in. I'm going to watch this game, of course. I'm going to rewatch it Friday. But why? Why is this the first game of the season? At least put a team on that did better from the year before. You know, put a team on that had some success, you know? Maybe? No? Okay. I just look at I'm going to just bear with me. Let me go through their schedule. Let me just go through the Bucks. Falcons. No, I'm not going to put the Falcons. They stink. But no, just as bad as the Cowboys, if you ask me. Then the Rams. That's an easy one. That should be the game. I mean, to me, that should be the game. Patriots. Be fun. I mean, it'll be fun in Sunday Night Football too. Don't get me wrong, but that'd be fun. That'd be a good game. Dolphins. Nah. Well, they were 10-6. Cowboys were 6-10. Make a little more sense. Battle. You get the two Tampa teams. Eagles. No, the Eagles stink. We go Bears. Bears would even be better. The Bears made the playoffs. If they would have played Justin Fields, the Bears beat Tampa Bay last year. Tom Brady, remember when you put the hands up, 5th down, 4th down, what is it? That's more intriguing. You have the Saints in your division. They played in the playoffs again. That would have been nice. They play week 8. And I won't bore you with the whole schedule here, but to me, it's so stupid how they did this. Washington, they played in the playoffs. I would have been fine. Fitzmagic, he beat Tom Brady a few years ago. Giants, no, but I'm not going to go through their whole schedule here, but even though I just basically did, but it's mind-boggling to me that, and I would get it. People, I'm sure your retort listening to this is, well, it's the Dallas Cowboys, it's about ratings. You're going to get ratings regardless. It's week 1, game 1. I could see it. Put that game in mid-November on Fox, because then that's when you need the ratings. People are maybe a little fatigued. They're like, oh, the NFL is 3 months in. Again, people that say that, oh, you hurt my heart. But if you need, if you need those Cowboys to tune in and get thumped by Tampa, then do it then. But again, I'm still going to watch the game, but I thought I'd talk about why the hell is this team in the opening night. But I said last week on the preview show, don't be surprised if Tom Brady wins the MVP this year. It's my pick. I just look at his weapons. I look at their schedule, and I like his chance. I think they're going to have a very good record. I think they're going to be the top seed in the NFC. That helps. And I mean, Tom Brady at 44. Again, winning awards is about story as well. And what's a better story than a 44-year-old quarterback winning an MVP award? Again, I don't think Tom Brady's the best quarterback ever. I think Joe Montana is. However, I do respect the hell out of Tom Brady and what he's done in his career, and I respect him enough that I'm going to pick him to win the MVP this year. I think Josh Allen's a good pick. I think he's the betting favorite for sure. After his year last year, he looks like he's blossoming. He's going to break through. The Bills are going to have a great season. I think that's going to be a tight division, though. But we'll see. But Tom Brady's my pick for MVP. I'm not going to go too much longer on the pod. saw some really good sports yesterday as well on Labor Day. Saw some good CFL action. But the Baltimore Ravens, I talked about throughout training camp, but just their injury woes and how it's been a tough season to be a Baltimore Ravens skill position player, where Rashad Bateman was injured in training camp. Hollywood Brown was injured. And then it's just been a disaster for the running back room, where in the last preseason game, J.K. Dobbins tears his ACL on a cut. And then in practice last Thursday, their backup running back, Justice Hill, tore his Achilles. So now on the roster, they have Gus Edwards, but they're getting very thin behind him. So yesterday they worked out veterans, Le'Veon Bell, formerly of the Pittsburgh Steelers and New York Jets, and Devontae Freeman, who played for Atlanta for a long time, then was with the Giants last year. But for Baltimore, I'm starting to get worried with Baltimore, because you're in a tough division with Cleveland, who I think is the best team. Pittsburgh is no slouch. They're getting really disrespected so far, in my opinion. I think Pittsburgh is going to be better than people think. I think Ben still has a little left in the tank, enough to put a good season together, potentially get back to the playoffs. But when you have to go to Le'Veon Bell, when that's where you're at in your organization, that Le'Veon Bell is the guy that you have to call to get work, that concerns me a lot, because he was cooked a few years ago. In New York, he was cooked. And with Kansas City, when they went on their Super Bowl run, he didn't do anything. He wasn't dressed in the NFC Championship in the Super Bowl game. That tells you what he has left. Devontae Freeman's been just injury plagued. He's tore his Achilles in his career. He's broke his foot. He's had Liz Frank. The guy's just been battered around. So you don't have a whole lot of weapons. And they did re-sign Mark Andrews yesterday, their star tight end out of the University of Oklahoma, which is a good signing. He's I think the key leader of this team. I think he is the leader of this team, especially on offense. But if you have to turn to Le'Veon Bell, Devontae Freeman, it's going to be difficult. And, running back is an important position on this team. Lamar is a running back by proxy, but you don't want him running as much as he has in prior years. You want him to develop. You want him to get to be a better pocket passer, at least improve when he gets out of the pocket, throwing on the move. That's where Patrick Mahomes is most dangerous. You want Mahomes to stay in the pocket. Mahomes is the best quarterback in football. But when he breaks out of the pocket and he's throwing on the run, throwing down the field 65 yards, that's when he's the most dangerous. When you keep him in the pocket, you'd honestly rather have him there. And for Lamar, you don't want him to be, I don't think he's ever going to be Patrick Mahomes when it comes to throwing the football. But if you can at least improve on that, on how he does it and how he looks at it, but it's going to be difficult to do when Hollywood Brown's injury play. He'll likely play game 1 as of today. He'll likely play Monday night against the Las Vegas Raiders. Rashad Bateman, unlikely to play. You're going to have Gus Edwards. You'll still have Nick Boyle, who emerged as a good receiving threat last year. But again, it's a lot of pressure on Lamar. You're going to need the Baltimore defense to be stout, which it always is under John Harbaugh. But I look at this team and say, I don't love it, and you're in a very tough division. And they're going to need to get wins against teams like Vegas, against these other teams that they should win. You can't falter, because I don't see a team like Cleveland stumbling much. Against they start against Kansas City, that's a tough way to start your season. I think they can win that game. Looking, it's tough because you start for them. They go to Kansas City. That's not an easy game. But Cleveland's got the best roster in football, in my opinion. You start for Baltimore. You start at the Raiders, then you play the Chiefs. Yeah, it's at home, but Lamar's never beaten Patrick Mahomes in his career. When the Browns play the Texans the next week, Steelers play the Raiders. So then Browns, Bears. I like the Browns. For the Ravens, they play. Let's see where they play here. They play the Lions. Again, that should be an easy win. But I'm just saying it's tough, with a roster that's not loaded with talent. And I just think there's two teams that have a little more talent than they do right now. And I'm not saying Ben's a better quarterback than Lamar, because I don't think he is. And personally, I don't think Baker's proven that he's better than Lamar yet. Baker's never won MVP. Lamar Jackson is an MVP of the NFL. Nobody can take that away from him. But when you have more, when one team has more weapons, better protection, than Baltimore, it starts to make you think about what this team can do. So Baltimore's in a world of hurt. We'll see what they can do Monday. The Houston Texans, this is the last thing today. They officially named Tyrod Taylor quarterback 1. We thought this would happen. Deshaun Watson's likely going to be a healthy scratch. And it doesn't look like he's going to be put on the commissioner's exempt list. It just looks like the Houston Texans are doing the NFL a favor without making them step in and do this. He's still got a bunch of court cases he's got to deal with. He's only scheduled to be deposed in February. So that's after the season's over. So I think this year he's just going to sit on the bench for Houston, be the third string quarterback, likely be inactive all season, and basically sit out the entire year. And he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. So seeing a star quarterback sit out the entire year is tough. But if he's found not guilty, then next season, I think before the draft, I think we'll see teams really try to push to acquire him. If the Miami Dolphins stumble this season and Tua is not their guy, then maybe Miami can put all the chips in the middle. They acquire Deshaun. If the Eagles struggle, which I think they will, and Jalen Hurts is not the answer, then they could put a package together to acquire Deshaun Watson. The Denver Broncos, who I think are very close to being Super Bowl contenders, they should be in the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes. So we'll see what happens. But Tyrod Taylor, who's started in Baltimore as Joe Flacco's backup, then went to Buffalo, Cleveland, Chargers, is now a starting quarterback again, this time with the Houston Texans. Programming note, I'll be back tomorrow with Seamus. We'll be doing our Breaking Bad season 4 episode 1 recap. And the second half of the show, like we did last week, we will talk about the second half of the Pacific Division offseason in the NHL. We'll talk about Seattle, Anaheim, LA, San Jose. So basically out in Cali and Seattle. So we'll touch on that. And then Sunday, I'll be doing a live show. It'll be on Facebook, and then it'll be a podcast later in the day. I'll put it on both. But every Sunday, I'm going to be doing a live show right here on Facebook Live, 11 a.m., where I talk with a guest. Some might be by myself some Sundays. I'm hoping to get a guest as often as I can. We'll talk about the news and notes around the NFL, the games that preview the day. And Adam Beers is going to be back this week. We're going to talk preview the games. I mentioned Browns, Chiefs. Great game. You got Rams, Bears, Sunday Night Football. I'm sure we'll get into Adam's Detroit Lions with Jared Goff now at quarterback. We'll recap the Cowboys Buccaneers game. We'll talk. His wife Melissa is a big Jets fan, so we'll talk about Sam Darnold hosting the Jets in Week 1. So we'll go through it all. Talk about the major storylines. We'll get some of Adam's predictions. Who he sees winning the Super Bowl, MVP, things of that nature. So we'll go into that, but wait for that on Sunday. I will be on the road this week. After tomorrow, I'm heading to Fredericton for a few days, but I do plan to podcast on Friday morning after the NFL game. Might be from location from a hotel room, but expect the podcast Friday at some point. So everybody, thanks for tuning in. Enjoy the tennis tonight. Felix will be on court after the women's match, but enjoy it all. Enjoy the baseball, whatever you're planning on doing this evening. But as always, thanks for the support. Stay healthy, stay safe, and I'll talk soon.